welcome to this edition of the Island Stats Football Show. I'm your host, Earl Based, and joining me is co-host Maceo Dill. We are awaiting the arrival of Coach Keita. Unfortunately, this evening, Garrett Country Dill is unable to join us. But Maceo, we've had a week full of football, and to be honest, it's still 2 games to be played for this week in league play to wrap up the week. We have one on Thursday night that would see the Boulevard Blazers take on Robin Hood, and also the match between St. David's and Somerset Eagles is still to be played. But we did have a total of 29 goals scored in the matches played, in league matches played. We know about Wednesday night where the Somerset Trojans advanced to the Dudley Eve final with a 1-0 win over Hamilton Parish, and Devonshire Cougars also advanced to the final with a 3-2 victory over North Village Rams. In the Premier Division, over the weekend on Saturday night, Somerset Trojans done the double on Hamilton Parish in a week. They beat them 2-1. And then yesterday, PHC Zebras defeated Crossroads 3-1. Danny Town Hornets went down 2-1 to the North Village Rams. And Devonshire Cougars came from behind to defeat St. George's Colts 2-1. In First Division play up at Somerset on Saturday night, it was Paget Lions 4, Island Rangers 2. And then yesterday, Devonshire Colts defeated Southampton Rangers 5-2. And Young Man Social Club went down to St. George's and defeated Wolves 2-1. So, Maceo, let's get right into the Dudley Eve semifinals, because it was a very interesting one in the matchups. You had 2 teams who have been playing well in Devonshire Cougars and North Village facing off against each other, and then in the other match you had 2 teams kind of still trying to find their way. Somerset had yet to win a league game and pick up a win, and here you had Hamilton Parish, who started off the season with a bang, but of late have had their challenges. So let's first talk about that Somerset Hamilton Parish match, because it was a spot up in the final that these 2 teams could kind of rev themselves up and get their season started.
Yeah, I think Hamilton Parish is Mr. Trickier, right? They're definitely Mr. Trickier. They're definitely now officially struggling. Their season is now definitely going to be about a relegation battle. It's going to be about surviving and figuring out how to survive, and sort of regroup themselves going into, trying to solidify themselves as a premier team. They're definitely struggled a lot more than I thought they would have, and that's got to point to a mentality. It was always say winning easy breeds complacency and laziness, and they would have won in the lower division games quite comfortably, and I think after beating Dandytown in the Dudley Eve, they have got ahead of themselves a bit. They got ahead of themselves a bit, and they're learning that at this level is very different, than the lower level, and they have to earn their respect, because for me they have quality players, right? They do have quality players. I've seen a lot of these players grow up in the youth league, and from individual, they're at the same level as some of the other clubs and the other players, but they're lacking the experience at this level to know how to win games and get games across the line.
Yeah, without a doubt. I mean, as you've already indicated, they have talent. Last season, the ball bounced their way. Right now, during this particular point in the season, the ball bounced in the opposite way. It's about being patient right now, and hopefully Sergio has them believing in the plan. As you've indicated, he's a very structured coach. But how long does he wait to change that particular structure to get themselves back into some form of at least get a point somewhere?
Yeah, and that's the question, right? I always say it's not about how much you know about football, is how much you can translate to players to implement what you know. And there has to be maybe a different methodology or a different method to start to get results or start to translate what he knows into the players to breed confidence. We all know what happens when teams are not winning. training numbers decrease, all those things decrease. So I mean, he has to do something very differently now to be able to get results across the line. And this is where I go. This is where I talk about, does a coach stick to his philosophy and his love of what his philosophy is, you know, how he loves the game, or does he try to figure out something a little bit differently to get results across the line?
Mm. And then looking at a team like Somerset, we know that they've been struggling. Scott has a young team trying to help them to kind of get themselves together. And they were able to pull it off. I mean, 1-0 in a semifinal, you get across the line, you're in the final.
It'd be amazing, right? He's in the final, is playing Cougars. He brings a trophy to Somerset. It's going to be a different Somerset. All of a sudden, the ancestors come back. All of a sudden, the behavior comes back. All of a sudden, the belief comes back. For me, I always said this when I was at North Village, when people thought I had so-called the battle players. All Bermuda players are developed to the same level. Trust me, they are. It's just how you organize them, who organizes them, and what the mentality of clubs are. You know, we talk about Wolves having equally good players as the rest of the league. And as I survey Bermudian players, we're all developed in the same pool. We're all developed the same way, through the youth league. So everybody is developed in the same way. Sometimes it comes down to, who's mentally ready, who's coaching there, or who's in better physical shape. It comes down to those things. But Somerset and Scott Morton has got a technician. He's got they got somebody that has experience around there, and they got somebody that's not going to really waver on them, and they're gonna have to decide if they step up to where he wants to go. So this is big for Somerset being in the final, right? And if they get that across the line, it could be a new Somerset.
Yeah, yeah. All of a sudden, the whole mentality of the community changes.
Yeah, the whole mentality in the community changes. Yeah,
Yeah, yeah.
that's
They
how it
would,
works.
but now they have an opportunity. As you know, in the final, anything can happen. It's a one-shot deal. It's Friday at the Devonshire Recreation Club. They had picked the venue prior to Devonshire Cougars getting into the final, but it's Friday, November the 11th. And again, when the whistle sounds to start the match, it's 0-0. So they know they will face Devonshire Cougars, who edged North Village Rams in the other semifinal. So for Devonshire Cougars now, confidence, as we've talked about, is really really high now because they had lost the previous game. The unknown was there of what to expect from them, but they were able to pick themselves up and come away with a 3-2 victory.
Now, I've seen him play a few times now, right? Devonshire Cruz. I saw the game against Danny Town. I saw the game against North Village, and I saw the game against St George's. You know, their experience is coming through, right? Their experience, and on top of their experience, they got a coach that is a tactician. So the coach is not an emotional coach. He's not being emotional about what's happening in the game. He's looking at what's happening in the game. He's studying what's happening in the game, and he's making tactical moves in the game to impact the results.
Mm.
He set his team up in a such a way. So, for instance, what I mean by that, he takes the kid Elijah Elijah Darrell. So Elijah Darrell, probably he's a striker. But what happens because of the goals that he scores? What happens for Elijah? He can't bring his touch doesn't allow him to bring other players into
Mm.
the into the game.
Right.
So now he's creating an opportunity as a goal scorer winger. So he gets into positions and he's leading the goal scorers in Bermuda, and that's a master stroke, right? And you put D'Amico Coddington in the middle, that we know is a winger. He is preferably D'Amico Coddington likes to deal with people one on one, but
Mm.
as a striker, he is able to hold the ball up. He's able to bring other people into the match. And I mean, we remember what happened last year when he had Durande Bascom. He was able to do those things and bring other people in the match, right? So he's dealing with what he's got. He's dealing with what he's got, and he's putting together a puzzle based on what he's got. He's got Lily at right back, right? We know he's generally, an attacking player that can play. right wing and he can create opportunities, but he's playing right back. So he's
mm,
so he's convincing those players to do jobs for the team. So he's
mm,
based on what he's got, he's putting the puzzle together based on what he's got. And now we know they're a momentum team. They have momentum and they're digging deep into games to win games and to get
mm,
games across the line.
yeah,
And and just another point on that, they don't have the strongest of goalkeepers,
right.
but that defense and how he set up that defense is being very protective of that. They're
Mm,
being very protective of that weakness that they have.
right. And for a North Village outfit that would have come in with a lot of confidence, having not lost a league game, going into that semifinal, hadn't given up a league goal. They in the Dudley Eve they were leaking goals and so forth, but to come up with one goal short, scoring twice but allowing three goals, something that I think was out of character for them,
Well,
but not in the competition.
yeah, yeah. I would. I mean, I would have favored North Village coming into this based on their previous racket and the goal score. Again, the decision was made. A decision was made with North Village to start um, Frey. Frey's
Hmm.
first game against Cougars. You know, and I know while he's one of the senior players and the stronger players to make that his first game against the Cougars and a D'Amico Cotterton, it became open house there. It really became open house. So putting implementing a new defensive peer in such a big game, that's questionable. That's questionable from the coaching selection. It's questionable doing that, and it cost North Village, right? It cost North Village, and the other thing is when the situation got a little bit tough. Fingers get pointed at the referee and stuff like that. This is what I'm talking about. Coaches getting emotional, so they're getting emotional rather than getting tactical. How do I counteract what's happening? How do I figure out what's happening? And this is where I give a lot of credit to Kwame Steve because he doesn't get emotional. He gets very tactical. He okay. This is the situation. The game's intense. Referee might not be making the best calls. My team might not be bossing the game or playing at his best. What do I do as a coach to help assist that? And he's now consistently showing that he's making right moves to help that.
Mm, mm. Yeah, I mean, yeah, we all know that the referee gets blamed for just about every team's defeat.
Yeah,
Um,
yeah.
and I mean, we all have our moments, but it's how many opportunities did your team create in the 90 minutes?
Oh,
How many opportunities did they miss?
and
And
that,
how many opportunities did they allow in?
yeah, and to be honest, Devonshire Cougars completely bossed North Village in that semifinal. They completely bossed. I was surprised as the domination that they had over North Village in that game. And I always say to coaches, I always say to players when it comes to their criticism of referees, um, Argentina won the 1986 World Cup, and Maradona punched the ball in the goal. Yeah,
Right.
and that World Cup, like this is what happens in the game, right? These are the things. England won 1966 World Cup, and there's still a lively debate that that ball go across the line.
Right.
This
Right.
is just what happens in the game, right? This is all part of the game. And now we got VAR, and we're still arguing about decisions. This is just what happens in the game.
Yeah. Yeah, well, obviously, first mistake was ever favoring Village over Cougars, man for man, and collectively, Cougars are superior. That's one 33 Wenger. But yeah, I mean, you know,
Yeah, I can actually agree to that statement, right? I can wholeheartedly agree to that statement. It was just that North Village were in a better space coming into that game than Cougars were.
yeah, yeah. Another statement. How could anyone pick Papas over Trojans in a cup game or at Somerset, regardless what form they're in? I'm not a Trojans fan. Sometimes you have to look at form and you make a stand, you make a decision, and you stick by it, kind of
And,
thing.
and, and that's another good statement because you always heard about the ancestors of the club pedigree, right? That is a big deal. The club
Mm,
pedigree in certain circumstances become a big deal, right? And
yeah,
Somerset pedigree in these circumstances become a very big deal when it comes to playing in Paris. Didn't feel look like they belonged at that that stage.
Mm,
Where Somerset, it's like this is my stage.
right.
So I can agree to those statements too.
Sure. Sure. Well, we're going to take our first commercial break. When we come back, we're going to talk Premier Division matches over the weekend. We'll be right back.
Putting down the weapons.
You seeing this?
Welcome to the new bulk store, Lindo's Next Level. Wake up in the morning with enough coffee to keep you running throughout the entire day. Your pet at home deserves the best. Stock up on dog food to keep your puppy happy. Need a quick, tasty lunch at home? Your chicken nuggets will be jumping right out of the freezer. What's a movie night without popcorn? You can never have too much. Lindo's Next Level. Why go anyplace else?
I'm also thankful and grateful because my greatest value of my life is my legacy. But why I do it? I feel supposed to do it. I was put here to be here, to do what I'm doing right now. Once I see somebody moving, it's the greatest joy for me. There's a little person being born. I am thankful that people have given me the trust, for me to empower them, from my players to my family to friends, and that's what I'm thankful for. I'm thankful that people have allowed me and trusted me to be in their life.
And welcome back. Well, Maceo, starting off on Saturday night in the Premier Division, it was a chance for Hamilton Parish to get some revenge on Somerset, and it was an opportunity for Somerset to pick up their first win or get the first point of the season. Having played each other in the semifinal just a few days before, both teams would have sorted each other out in styles and who's their biggest threat against themselves. And Somerset was able to come away with a big win to kind of lift their spirits even more now, because they, after beating them 1-0, they were able to beat them 2-1, just a few nights later.
Yeah, man, that's a big win for Somerset. I think, it's a big win for Morty too, to start to get some belief in what he's doing. We know Morty's going to be very, very rigid with the players. He's not going to really bend with the players. They're going to have to bend to his will, and some of the players have dropped off, that don't want to be disciplined or deal with the discipline that it's going to bring. And what you're going to find that the ones that stay there are going to end up signing up for what's happening. They're going to sign up for what's happening. So it's going to be interesting to see what he can do with them. If he can get them a trophy across the line, that's going to be a big deal, and that's just going to ramp Morty up a lot more. To push his agenda as to how he does things, and for Hamilton Parish, like I said earlier, they are now in a relegation battle. They're in a battle to survive in this league.
Yeah. Well, looking at it, what does Sergio need to do now to rally the troops? Because when you look at it, you lost to Somerset Trojans twice in 1 week. You've been struggling in the league play. All those cup games are now over. How do you get these guys back to some form of understanding that they lost big to St. George's, they lost big to PHC. Teams that are near you, you couldn't beat. So how does he get them back on track?
Well, it's a touchy situation because each coach has what he favors as his starting lineup. And I mentioned it earlier. Jordan Otterbury seems to be he seems to be struggling.
Mm.
And you might have to make some big changes as who starts and give some sort of unknown the opportunity to see if he can step into those type of shoes, right? And the team might need a bit freshen up as to who starts the game and who plays the game, And the other thing is does he change his tactical approach? Everybody knows Sergio's type of football. He likes to play between the lines. He likes to build the play up from the back. He likes to do those things. Do you now start to go a bit direct so you can get on top of games?
Yeah. So is his honeymoon period over? I mean, last season he didn't really have much of a test because the quality that Hamilton Parish had last season and still have this season kind of wiped up and ran away with the first division. But now the challenges that they did not face last season, they're staring them right in the face now.
We know what's happening down there. We know what the fans are saying. We know what the players are saying. We know there is question marks are going to be around the coaching now. He is definitely the honeymoon period over. I keep saying this is where you prove yourself at these levels. I think every coach in the world has been at this point. Every coach in the world has been at the point where there is doubt in his coaching tactics, his doubt in how he's training, his doubt in how he's selecting people. And this is where you have to prove yourself. Yeah. So it's definitely the honeymoon period is definitely over now.
Sure. Then we turn our attention to yesterday at PHC Stadium, where PHC defeated Crossroads 3-1. PHC, I think they when they were leading 2-0, they took the foot off the pedal for a little bit, played around, got that third goal, went up 3-0. Crossroads scored. Donovan Thompson scored, and then like 2 or 3 minutes later, they had an opportunity to pull within one when they were awarded a penalty. Donovan had the ball. He was going away from goal, and I just don't know what goes through a defender's mind when he tackles a guy from behind, going away from your goal.
Yeah.
The claim was it was outside the box. The referee standing right there, spot kick. They take it, hits the crossbar. One of their players encroached, free kick going out, and PHC were able to kind of manage the rest of the game. Crossroads had 2 players sent off, but clearly right now things are falling apart for Crossroads.
Yeah, and that's the other thing we talk about how do you change that, Ralphie? How do you go away from what the tactics are? I don't think he has a lot of options in selection. The only options that he has in tactics to him. How does he change tactics, and maybe how does he set his team up? Like I did see Crossroads play against Boulevard. And I saw how he's trying to play. Again, he's trying to build the ball. He's trying to play some sort of constructive football. But to be honest, he's not got the players that are capable of that.
I had a concern with him yesterday because I actually went to the second. I was there for the second half of the game, and I only saw. Now they could have made other changes or whatever, but I only saw one player changed up on the bench.
Yeah.
Which has got to be a growing concern because last season they had a line of people on the bench even when they were struggling.
Yeah, and I mean this is something that we're consistently seeing, right? We see that with Robin Hood. We see the challenges with putting 16 to 18 players out there on the field. That's a challenge, and I think that's a challenge for football, and that's why it's starting the BFA. Start to look at the possibility of restructuring. What does restructuring mean? What does that look like?
Yeah.
But that is an obvious challenge right across the board. Like I talk to a lot of players that I don't see playing football, and they're choosing to play Corona League. Like for instance, Rico Wiles, Key Wiles' brother. You know, he's a capable player at this level, but he plays Corona League. You know, it's a lot of players that are for whatever reason not prepared to commit to the training regime of the Premier level, and they go apply that trade in Corona League. So it is a worry. It is a worry.
Yeah, and for a team like PHC, I mean, I think, like I said, when they went up 2-0, I think for a period of time they just thought it was going to be a walk in the park, and that kind of attitude creeped into a few players, and they just couldn't get themselves together afterwards, which it was a struggle. They missed a lot of created chances, but missed a lot of chances, I think, because of that lack of concentration.
Yeah, and this is why I don't think PAC is a contender this season. I don't, I've seen them enough times now, and I don't think they're a contender. They don't have that killer instinct about them. I mean, Crossroads, they was able to turn it back on. The guy, Paul Simmons scored a hat trick against his former team. He would have had that type of motivation to do well against his former team. But I don't think PAC is a contender. They're not a serious contender this season for any major honors.
Okay, all right. Well, they've only lost one league game, and they're in the hunt right now with a lot of other teams. But let's move on to that match at BAA, where Dandytown were defeated by North Village 2-1. North Village, for the first time in the league this season, has given up a goal, but they managed to score 2 and come away with a 2-1 win over Dandytown. So, looking at the result, Coach Keita, welcome. Let's talk a little bit about North Village and on the streak they are. They've played 5 league matches. They've won all 5. They've only given up 1 goal, and they're scored quite a bit. They've scored 13. So things are going well right now structurally for North Village.
Yeah, I mean, it's nice when you don't really have a target on your back. And then coming into the season, North Village wouldn't have been a team that most teams would have thought they had to kind of worry about. Again, I can't stress it enough. The mindset, the mental part of the game, right? So, the Dandytowns you talked about, the PACs you talked about, now you think of the other teams that's in the conversation, North Village, St. George's, Cougars. And I'm actually proud of North Village for their ability to bounce back after, their game midweek against Cougars. So, whatever is happening, again, as I said it last week, it's working for Kenny right now. They had a blip midweek, but then they was able to pull it back together and actually come off with a victory. And I didn't make it, but, hearing that DJ Bell saved the penalty, again, that's just a lot of confidence. So there's a lot of confidence in North Village team right now. Again, I bet training sessions are really good. Numbers are good. They will be disappointed that they didn't make it to the finals of the Dudley Eve. But again, they went back to the drawing board. They knew they had another game on the weekend against somewhat of a tough opponent. And that they had to, get a result. They got the result. Sorry, if I keep getting missing, guys, I'm on candy duty now. Sorry.
Not a problem. Maceo, for a team like Dandytown, the defending champions, haven't started the season the way they would have liked to start it in all sorts of competitions. But in the league, they've won 4 matches and they've lost this first match. They're still in the mix kind of thing, but not where they were dominating last year. Your thoughts on this particular match?
Yeah, it's physical, right? It's physical for Dandytown. As much as they're structurally getting themselves together, they're missing that bit of speed. Sequoia's struggling a bit physically. Beachy's struggling a bit physically. They're not that dominant physical player, and then that comes with as you're aging, and then they're breeding into some younger people that don't have certain experiences at certain times in the game. So I always thought that that North Village was going to be able to contain them. You know, they're just missing that little edge. Danny Ton's missing that little edge that they had last year to win games. You know, and for North Village, they wouldn't be, you know, to recover. This is championship material. What it looks like now. You know that you lose to Cougars on Wednesday, and then on Sunday you're playing the league championship, and you find a way to get the game across the line.
Mm.
You know, you find a way to get the roster. This is what championship material looks like, and still for me, North Village is not playing well and dominating games, and I think they could get better at that. They could potentially get better as confidence comes, but they're getting games across the line. So it's showing a mentality. And we talked about that mentality that Dennytown had last year.
Mhm.
They kept showing a mentality to get games across the line.
Sure. Well, we're going to take another commercial break. When we come back, we'll talk about the final Premier Division game played over the weekend, and that's the Devonshire Cougars St. George's Colts match. We'll be right back.
I'm also thankful and grateful because my greatest value of my life is my legacy.
But why I do it? I feel supposed to do it. I was put here to be here, to do what I'm doing right now. Once I see somebody moving, it's the greatest joy for me. There's a little person being born.
I am thankful that people have given me the trust, you know, for me to empower them, from my players to my family to friends, and that's what I'm thankful for. I'm thankful that people have allowed me and trusted me to be in their life.
They're putting down the weapons.
You seeing this?
Welcome to the new bulk store, Lindo's Next Level. Wake up in the morning with enough coffee to keep you running throughout the entire day. Your pet at home deserves the best. Stock up on dog food to keep your puppy happy. Need a quick, tasty lunch at home? Your chicken nuggets will be jumping right out of the freezer. What's a movie night without popcorn? You can never have too much. Lindo's Next Level. Why go anyplace else?
And welcome back. Well, we had that all-important final match last evening at Devonshire Recreation Club, where Devonshire Cougars were able to defeat St. George's Colts 2-1. Again, Devonshire Cougars were coming to the game feeling good about themselves, having advanced to the final, defeating North Village, and they're coming up against a team that has been freely scoring, and clearly, as Maceo, you talked about Devonshire Cougars coach Kwame, how technical he is, and he would have set up a plan to kind of stop that free scoring. So Georgia scored early, but they were able to shut them down after that. So looking at a team like Devonshire Cougars, Maceo, and setting up against St. George's, how do you think the tactic worked to get them across the line?
Well, I mean, first of all, Cougars were going to battle.
Hmm.
They were not going to be fearful of what the attacking powers that St. George's had, and even going down a goal early, St. George's had some very attacking powers. Cash Hall, he can pick out a pass in the dark, right? Blaze Hall, he's capable of cutting in and he can strike a ball well. He scored a good goal. John Tay is ever lurking to find an opportunity to put a goal in. You also got Malachi Trott, that the number 10, that he handles the ball well, and he can move the ball more forward. So I see how they notified their defense with the attack, and now they got also they got the national squad reserve goalkeeper and go Jaquil Hill and go. So they got a good outfit, that they got good players, and that they got in for the Cougars, but I mean for St. George's. What St. George's don't have and what Cougars have is pedigree at this level, the expectation to win.
Mm-hmm.
Cougars have the expectation to win. And when they have to dig in the deep, they feel entitled to winning. Cougars feel entitled to winning because of the stature of club that they are. And what I saw were the difference. Again, Kwame aids his team when situations get out. He aids his team with tactical decisions. Whereas St. George's coaching staff, they blame the ref. They're shouting at the ref. They're getting at the ref for this. They're being emotional. So that's the difference. If St. George's coaches are listening, while this game is emotional, you need to put your emotions aside and think about what is the solution at certain times that you're going to help your team. And your emotions and your antics are not going to help the team. You need to be tactically astute, and that's what Kwame is. He's clever. If you remember Kwame Evans as a player, how much times he figured out how to drift to the back post, and when it was set up to drift to the back post, and he scored the same goal over and over and over because he's intelligent. He's an intelligent football thinker. He's an intelligent football player, and he's shown that intelligence in his coaching now as to how he's thinking, and how he's setting up his unit to be able to get games across the line. And he's brave. He took off. Elijah Darrell scored to make it 1-1, and 5 minutes later, he substituted him, and he switched things up that aided his team.
Mm-hmm.
But I was impressed. I was impressed in that we already know, Cougars as a club, they're a mentality monster. They have mentalities to dig deep and to fight an ulti-rack against the drums and stuff. That's not an easy game, an easy situation to deal with. And I even saw Jonte struggle. Jonte struggled with his touch out there because the field's a bit heavy, where he had to adjust, and the field was a little bit more tighter, so he couldn't get away from the defenders as easy as he probably would get away in St. George's with a bigger field and a smoother surface. Yeah.
Right. So, Coach Keita, listening to what Maceo was talking about, especially with the St. George's team and coaches, where do you think they need to pick up? You got to unmute. You're muted.
Again, Maceo forgot to come and get me and bring my pass. I said, Mama, I'm going to the game tonight with Maceo, and Maceo never showed up, right? But it's okay.
Too much sun to go. Too much sun and rain to go.
I mean, for me, St. George's having a good run, understanding the weapons that they have. Obviously, defensively, they still have some frailties, right? And if you can, and they now have to go back to the drawing board. It's like I said before, they have to make sure that as much as they have the weapons, that everybody else in the team have to rise to that occasion. Because if anybody figures out, as they probably did, keep Jonte quiet. Keep Jonte quiet. Right now, Jonte is the man for St. George's. Keep him quiet, and then we'll be able to get a result. And that's all that, Kwame would have had to really do is nullify Jonte. And if he was struggling on his own, then that's what opened the game up for Cougars. But I do agree that tactically, he obviously tactically outsmarted them. I do know that there were some instructions that there were some players that, and ACO said it just now, that Kwame was brave in taking off Elijah. For whatever reason, he was brave in taking him off. Maybe he wasn't doing the job that needed to be done. This St. George's had players out there that weren't following instructions, that couldn't do the job that needed to be done. And if they leave them on there and hope that they did the job, and did was their focus in the wrong areas. And if I'm listening to Maceo correctly, their focus was in the wrong area. Yeah, looking for help. That's what I call it. Looking for help in the areas that they didn't need to look for help, instead of working on the team and making sure that they did the things that they had to do to get back into the game.
Mm-hmm. Well, let's move on to the first division. And on Saturday night, before the Somerset Havana Parish game, Island Rangers and Paget took to the field, and it was Paget Lions getting 2 goals from Dion Stubble, another one from Antoine Russell, and they defeated Island Rangers 4-2. Looking at Paget, Maceo, now with Dion in the field, they become a completely different team.
Yeah, most definitely. I don't expect them to win games. I think they're on a pathway for promotion. They should start to look at playing the game at a good level, meaning that they should be upset that they're giving up 2 goals. That should be a problem for them. It should be a problem that they're giving up 2 goals and they're you know they're not totally bossing games around. So with the players that they have and the experience of the players that they have, it's going to be interesting to see who can challenge them. And they have to use this season to get themselves structurally right. That's what they have to use this season to get very structurally right.
Right. And we look at a team, Coach Keita, we look at a team like Island Rangers who have picked up 2 wins, but now, having 2 losses, they need to get a little more consistent.
Yeah, for me, for Island Rangers, it's tricky. I really thought that they was going to do extremely well, to be honest. I'm very prejudiced. One second, sorry guys, I've just got some trick-or-treaters.
It's Halloween. It's Halloween tonight.
It's a tricky one. But yeah, I was hoping that Paget was going to be able to, Island Rangers was going to have a good run. They got Leo Burgess there. They started off fast and was getting some results. But again, Paget is a different beast. And it's the same thing we spoke about. Who they lost to last week?
Paget
Yeah.
Group. Oh, you're talking about Island Rangers?
Island Rangers. Who they lost to last week?
Social Club.
Social Club, right. So the Social Clubs, the Paget, the Wolves, I think Island Rangers may struggle with a little bit. Just because, again, they've never really been a team of great quality. You saw the direction in which the Somerset players, when I think they went to Somerset Eagles, more so Somerset Eagles than to Island Rangers, where, again, your Island Rangers, the Crossroads, those teams, there are teams where coaches have to kind of work with what they got. As good as Leo Burgess is, and what he can present for them, he can't do it by himself. So hopefully Island Rangers they've always been a mid-table team.
Mid to bottom.
Yeah, so I don't see anything different happening for them unless they pick up some people. They're gonna have to pick up players. So they kind of get excited because we started off, we're getting victorious, you know what I mean? So at the end of the day, again, they're gonna have to just work with what they have.
Mm-hmm. Well, the next first division match was Devonshire Colts picking up a 5-2 victory over Southampton Rangers. As we know, Devonshire Colts have struggled to start the season. They beat St. David's up at Somerset for their only win, and then yesterday was able to pick up that second win of the season. And I think with this win, Devonshire Colts' confidence now gets a little better. You look at what Ray is able to do with what he has. He struggled with the numbers because he lost so many players, but they were able to get it across the line against a Southampton Rangers team who at the time were running hot. Maceo?
Yeah. It's a circumstance of our league with, the inability to focus. You would think Rangers will go from strength to strength after they won a few good games, and that's not what happened. Like, I think a lot of players get ahead of themselves. A lot of players get ahead of themselves when they go on a good run. And Colts are very comfortable at this level of football, right? They're very comfortable at this level of football. This is where their level of football, to be honest, this is where their level of football is in this division. They're not sustained themselves in the upper division. This is where their comfort at, and they should always be considered promotion potential in this division. But Colts is on the same pathway as I'll talk about Paget. Is how do they solidify how they play the game that they can sustain themselves? They've been between Colts and Rangers have probably been the most yo-yo team over the last 2 decades, right?
Coach Keita, you look at a team like Southampton Rangers who started the season strong. They hadn't lost a game going into yesterday's match, and they drew with Paget, which was a big morale booster for them. They beat 2 other teams. And do you think after last season, some of the guys thought they could have been thinking overachieving?
No, I don't know which league is harder to deal with, the English Premier League or Bermuda's Football League, because I know that every single last one of us picked Rangers, didn't they?
Yes.
I'm almost sure we all picked Rangers,
We
right?
all picked Rangers.
And I think honestly, I think this show helps some coaches. I think some coaches probably use this show in their training sessions or their pregame talks. And
yes,
I'm happy for Colts, right?
Yes.
Because they're not laying down. They're digging deep. Rangers probably would have gone into that game thinking, because they was on a good run, right? So they're going into that game thinking this is Colts, and Colts has stripped them. 5-2. It's not a one goal difference. 5-2. Colts obviously did their homework, and they obviously went there with a game plan. And I would put money on the fact that Rangers probably felt they had won the match before they even started the match because of the run that Colts has had and the run that they're having. So at the end of the day, remember, you can have the best team on paper, but the game's played on the field. That's Liverpool fans and Chelsea fans. It is what it is. And I think that every time you show up, you have to show up as if you're playing against the best team in the league and play that kind of football. I used to tell my girls all the time, I don't care if we're playing under 5s. We're getting hard. Those under 5s are going to know that they played football today. You're not going to go out there and say, oh, yeah, you have to go hard every single game. And I think that's a mentality that we have to have in this country.
Sure. Well, we're going to take our final commercial break. When we come back, we'll talk about the first division match of the weekend and thus far, and we'll go into the player of the week and look at our picks and make our new picks. We'll be right back.
Welcome to the new bulk store, Lindo's Next Level. Wake up in the morning with enough coffee to keep you running throughout the entire day. Your pet at home deserves the best. Stock up on dog food to keep your puppy happy. Need a quick, tasty lunch at home? Your chicken nuggets will be jumping right out of the freezer. What's a movie night without popcorn? You can never have too much. Lindo's Next Level. Why go anyplace else?
I'm also thankful and grateful because my greatest value of my life is my legacy.
But why I do it? I feel supposed to do it. I was put here to be here, to do what I'm doing right now. Once I see somebody moving, it's the greatest joy for me. There's a little person being born.
I am thankful that people have given me the trust, for me to empower them, from my players to my family to friends. And that's what I'm thankful for. I'm thankful that people have allowed me and trusted me to be in their life.
Welcome back. Well, the final match was Young Men Social Club coming from behind to defeat Wolves 2-1 at Wellington Oval. Young Men Social Club are topping the first division standings. There's only 2 teams that are yet to be beaten in the division, and they are Social Club and Paget. Wolves were looking as if they could hang on for a draw, but a final minute goal gave Social Club, and I know right now the confidence at the club is really, really high because of how they've been able to get across the line in their game. So a team like Young Men Social Club, Coach Kita, who just missed out last year on a promotion, they faded near the end. They've been through that struggle. So looking at it this year, you think they can kind of keep the run going. They've already played the top teams, so now it's just the other teams that they should be able to manage. But they, as you have already indicated, they have to play every game like they're playing a top team.
Yeah, and they will, they have Streaker as their coach, so that's a plus. They're riding on confidence, that's a plus, right? They're probably enjoying their football. Yeah, so that's another plus because they're winning, because they're doing well, and they're topping the table. So at the end of the day, it's now not getting ahead of themselves, as makes you see. No, it's playing every game. So the very next game is your very next game. That's it. Ten Hagen in the news this week is like, I'm not going off of Pep Guardiola's words that United's back or that. Every game is the next game, and that's the only game I'm focusing on. And right now, Streakers, every game, that's it. One game at a time. Let's not even think about, this was Paris last season, so we're going to get promoted. One game at a time. Yeah, because at the end of the day, they could be victims of their success if they don't do this right.
Right. Well, they've scored 17 goals, and they have Ryan Parrish, who has 5, David Jones has 4, and Nigel Williams has 3, and then the rest has been spread around. So, Maceo, you look at a team like Wolves, who will get up to play a team like Young Men Social Club because of the close proximity of the two, but it didn't work out for Wolves. So where do they go from here?
Yeah, right now Wolves is just gonna yo-yo around the league. They're gonna play a good game, they're gonna impress. They're gonna play a bad game, they're gonna be upset. They're gonna yo-yo around like that. That's what they're gonna do. And with Parish, with Social Club, if they're buying into Streaker, and I think all signs that they are buying into what he's bringing, the organizational piece that he's bringing to them, they're gonna be definitely a contender. If they're buying into what he's telling them. I'm lost complete faith in Wolves to win any game that's going to be challenging, to them.
Okay, all right. Well, let's get into the picks from last week. It was an interesting week. Let's start off with the Dudley Eve matches on Wednesday night. Hamilton Parish and Somerset Trojans. We all took Hamilton Parish. And then the nightcap, North Village versus Devonshire Cougars. I took Cougars. Punchy, Maceo, and Kita took North Village, and Cougars won 3-2.
Yeah,
then on Saturday night, it was Somerset Trojans versus Hamilton Parish. I took Somerset Trojans, and the rest of you took Hamilton Parish. And we know Somerset won that 2-1. Then it was Dendy Town versus North Village. Myself and Maceo, we took a draw. Punchy took Town. Coach Kita took North Village. Yes. And then PHC versus Crossroads. We all took PHC, and we know they won that one 3-1. Devonshire Cougars versus St. George's Colts. We all took St. George's Colts, and they lost 2-1 to Devonshire Cougars. Then on Saturday night, Island Rangers and Paget. We all took Paget. Paget won that 4-2. Wolves and Young Men Social Club. We all took Social Club, and Social Club won that 2-1. And then Devonshire Colts versus Southampton Rangers. We all took Southampton Rangers, and Devonshire Colts won that 5-2. So at the end of the week, with still 2 matches to be played. The Somerset Eagles and St. David's match has been moved to December 4th, and the Boulevard Robin Hood match will take place on Thursday night. So far, I have 5. I've moved to 27. Punchy got 3. He's moved to 24. Maceo, you also got 3. You've moved to 23. And Coach Kita got 4, and she's moved to 23. So things are heating up in that regard. All right, so let's look at this week. On Friday night, out at the Devonshire Recreation Club, Devonshire Cougars will host PHC Zebras. Maceo.
Thank you for calling Maceo first.
Yes. I think Devonshire Cougars, their mentality is back, man. Their mentality is back, and I keep saying it that Kwame, as a coach, he wants to be recognized with the top coaches in Bermuda, and to be recognized, he has to win a league, and it's no doubt that he's on that pathway and how he's preparing his team to do that. So I think Devonshire Cougars and PHC, they're just not firing on all cylinders, man. It's like PHC is like they're playing development football right now.
Coach?
Yeah. Perhaps me too, because I like PHC, right? And I really wanted to do well. But Cougars is just in a different space right now. They are taking on some giants, and they're just playing just a better football at the moment. So I'm gonna have to go with Cougars.
Okay. I'm gonna go a little opposite, and I'll tell you why. If I'm PHC, I'm walking on the field saying, hey, a week from today, you are playing in the final. You want to do in a 50-50 or 60-40 with me? You might not make that final. That's how we played back in the day. I don't know if these boys are that strong in the mind now to do that. But no,
the coach might make those decisions.
Yeah,
but I don't. I really don't think our players are playing right now. That's good. Like, if they're going for, I don't think that they think in those terms. I think that, again, every game is a win game.
Right.
The Cougars want to win.
Yes.
Every game that they play. Yes. But you could be right.
And for that, I'm taking PAC.
It's possible.
Yeah. Hey, you're walking on the field all week. Every time I see you, hey, finals a week away.
Well,
you
got the most points right now.
All right, then Saturday at Wellington Oval, Hamilton Parish entertain Boulevard. Coach Keelan.
Hamilton Parish have to bounce back at some point. When will that point be? So the thing with Parish right now is that they've never been in a situation like this. Dominating the league for 2 seasons. They've never had to dig deep. And so I'm certain that this is going to be their game where they start to come back. So I'm going to go Parish.
Okay. I'm actually kind of with you on that. They need to figure out something, and they have to get it started. And the sooner the better. And I think this will be their game to get it back. So I'm going to take Hamilton Parish.
Yeah, Boulevard's hungry, man. Boulevard's hungry. Jamal's going to have experience at this level. He's going to have experience at this piece, and Boulevard's definitely a team that can sense blood, right? Ian Cook can sense blood, and they're gonna feast on the blood that's linking out of Parish right now. I'm gonna take Boulevard.
Okay, all right. Then on Sunday at Bernard Park, North Village entertain Crossroads, and I'm gonna take North Village. Maceo?
Yeah, this should be a easy one for North Village. This should be straightforward for North Village. Okay. Yeah, I can't see anything less than a win for North Village. The row factor is not even going to be a factor. Him coming to his prodigal home, his rightful home. I don't think that's going to be even a factor about it. Norfolk is just going to be too much for
Sure.
Crossroads.
Coach?
I think if he is on the show, he'll say Village himself. So he
That's not even right.
probably get fired for saying it, but yeah, yeah, I don't, I think they're gonna come up against a little wall on Sunday, Crossroads. They're still trying to figure it out, but I'm
Yeah.
definitely gonna go with North Village. This don't even have to be a hard or here. This is just North Village.
Okay. Sunday at Wellington Oval, St. George's Colts entertain Dandytown Hornets. Maceo, you are up.
Yeah, I'm gonna go with because it feels bigger. I'm gonna go with St. George's Colts. I'm going with St. George's. I can see why they win games. When they play on a bigger field and the tactical type of players that they have, it's hard to close them down. Jonte is smart and where he goes in spaces. Both Cash and Blaze are very smart as to where they choose to attack, and they're always looking for Jonte to create opportunities. The guy Neil, uh, um, Cameron Neal. I mean, he can handle the ball. He looks to play, and contrary to belief, they're not actually bad defensively. They're not. They're not playing the ball on the back and from that perspective, but they're not bad in where they're giving you opportunities to score on them a lot.
Right.
Yeah, so I got to go with St. George's Colts on this one. I think they can bounce back.
Okay. Coach?
Oh yeah, I'm gonna go with St. George's. There's something about Dandytown right now that they don't like Liverpool, to be honest. Like they beat Cougars, and then Liverpool beat City. It's something. It's something that has to happen at Dandytown. That's not happening yet. And I was a little worried on Sunday because we had senior women trained on Sunday, and Coach Dankers was with me, and then he's going to play Don Village, and I was like, oh boy. But there's something that's not happening at Dandytown right now, and I think they're gonna figure it out, and I think they're gonna fix it. But right now, it's too soon. But again, they're not playing with the same emotion as they did last year. And they did lose again, goalkeeper, key position. So, but yeah, St. George's. St. George's will bounce back from last night.
No, I'm with you both on that. So I'm going to take St. George's as well. Coach Keita, you're up. Does Robin Hood get their first victory against Somerset, or does Somerset go into the Cup final on a 3-game win streak?
Wow. Yeah, this is like Cougars playing PAC, huh? No, I'm actually gonna go with Somerset. I'm gonna go with Somerset on this, regardless. I think that this is Robin Hood's first game after losing 11-1. This will be their first match.
Yeah.
I don't think it's a whole lot that they can do. Somerset and Morty will look at the things that went well against Hamilton Parish twice, and again look to do those types of things against Robin Hood, who's not far or from Hamilton Parish, who's actually probably below Hamilton Parish at this moment. So yeah, I think that is definitely going to be a Somerset victory.
Just a quick correction, because they do play Thursday night. They play Boulevard at BAA on Thursday night.
Robin Hood?
Yes, because it's this week's game. It's a game for this week. So,
And then they play again on Sunday.
and then on Sunday, yes.
Yeah.
Oh boy. Yeah.
So, I'm going to pick Somerset Trojans to go into the Cup final on a 3-game winning streak. So,
Yeah.
Maceo?
I mean, this is set right up for Morty, right? It's set right up for Morty. The schedule is set right up for Somerset. He'll win this game. And what I know about Morty, once he gets his teeth into him, it's not like it's going to let up, right? It's not like it's going to say, okay, cool, it's going to push him harder now. And they'll accept being pushed harder the more that they win.
Yeah.
So this is, I mean, the schedule set right up for him to sink his teeth into Somerset further.
Let me move to the first division. On Saturday at Police Field, Devonshire Colts entertain Somerset Eagles. I'm going to go with Devonshire Colts as Eagles are clearly struggling this season. Maceo?
Devonshire Colts for me as well.
Coach?
Devonshire Colts.
Maceo, I don't know how it is, but you keep getting these tricky ones. On Saturday evening at BAA Field, BAA will entertain Ireland Rangers.
Yes, on Pablo.
That is a tricky one. I think, as I'm watching BA and I'm watching Andrew, football's different for him now. I think the idea of winning and of course is different for him now. I think it's more an idea of giving people a platform to play football and to develop and go on to other things, in life or even in football, going overseas to schools. So football's a little bit different for him. So it makes it iffy to predict which games he can win. I still think that he'll be able to get across Island Rangers. So it's very iffy. I'm going with BA. I'm going with BA to get across Island Rangers.
Okay. Coach?
Yeah, actually, I think I'm gonna go with BA as well. I think that Island Rangers is a little battered right now. I think they're trying to figure things out and trying to work it what they got. But I think BA. And it's at BA. It's a night match.
It's a night match.
Yeah. I'm gonna go with BA.
Yeah. Well, I'm going to go against you guys as I think Island Rangers will try to outmuscle the young BAA players. What I saw up at Southampton Rangers last week with BAA, and they'll be missing one of their better players, being that he was sent off against Southampton Rangers last week. I think Island Rangers will get the edge on this one for me on Saturday night. Okay, so on Sunday, Coach, you're up. Southampton Rangers entertain Wolves up Southampton Oval.
Ooh. I know Macy was tricky.
Wolves might just feel like it, isn't it?
Yeah. So that one's tricky. Up Southampton.
Yeah.
Wolves Rangers just came off a thrashing from Devonshire Colts.
Mm-hmm. They had a man sent off.
I'm getting Wolves.
I know Wolves will be disappointed with their 2-1 loss yesterday.
Yeah.
And they would want to make a statement against Southampton Rangers this time around. So I'm going to pick Wolves to get across the line for this particular match. Maceo?
Yeah, I'm going with Southampton Rangers. They're not losing up Southampton Rangers. They're not going to let Wolves come up there.
Okay.
We're going with Rangers.
Okay. And the final first division game, it is at Bernard Park. Social Club entertain St. David's. I'm going to go with Social Club. Maceo?
Social Club for me.
And Coach?
Social Club. And Davis can be Social Club.
Yeah.
Who can St. David's beat, Coach?
Nobody.
St. David's got one. St. David's got something in there. They're gonna get one.
They could beat St. George's.
I don't know about that right now. Well, last week we picked Jonte Smith as the Goslings Player of the Week, the first for the season, as we are doing it 2 weeks in advance 2 weeks back because of the late matches. I mean, we're usually on the air. The final matches haven't been completed. So this was the presentation at Goslings with Jonte Smith.
Good afternoon, everybody. My name is Ethan Phillip, and I'm here with Jonte Smith. Jonte is this week's Player of the Week. Jonte scored a hat trick against Hamilton Parish, playing for St. George's Colts. So we're just here to congratulate him, giving him his bottle of Flora Gold. So here you go, Jonte. There's your reward. All right.
Thanks a lot.
Thank you
Appreciate
very much.
it.
You have a good one, right?
You too.
Awesome.
And that was the presentation for Jonte. So 2 weeks ago, we had, actually last week, we had 2 players that stood out again. Jonte Smith, who scored 4 goals for St. George's against Robin Hood. And then we had Detre Bell, who for a 4th game in a row had a shutout in helping North Village defeat Somerset Trojans 4-0. We have had some talk. Coach Keita, who stands out for you out of the 2?
I have to go with DJ Bell. A shout out and is played against some pretty good opposition. And that's not easy to have 4 shutouts. So I have to go with D-Trade, not only for his shutouts, but just for his leadership on the field, the confidence that he gives to his teammates. So I'm gonna go with D-Trade.
Maceo?
Yeah, for the very same reasons. D-Trade, his been the difference in North Village's victory. So, when I cross-reference with Jonte, he scored 4 goals in an 11-0 game, right? There were 7 other goals that were being scored. That is expected. But D-Trade's, goaltending is definitely keeping North Village in the game. And it's not like he's not having to save them and make saves. He's having to save them and make saves and keep clean sheets and provide a platform for his strikers, to be able to put balls away. So D-Trade for me.
Okay. Well, that's 3 for 3 because I also picked Detre Bell as the player of the week. So we want to congratulate Detre Bell for being the Gosling's player of the week.
Mm-hmm.
Well, we have some very interesting games coming up this week, starting on Thursday night with that Premier Division game, Boulevard and Robin Hood. And then we go into that Friday night match. And we do want to remind everyone that this particular weekend, if you're making your way to Bernard Park and or BAA on Saturday and or Sunday, the triathlon is on, so you're going to have to make your way a little earlier as roads will be congested because town is not accessible. So just a reminder to everyone that, especially if you're going to that double header at Bernard Park, make your way early and make your way, especially if you're coming from the west. You can't come through town. So, all right. Well, good luck this week.
Yeah.
And we'll be back next. Actually, in saying that, what we may have to do is because of the lateness of the triathlon finishing, we may have to switch a game to Monday night.
Yeah, that works for me.
For the show.
That
Okay.
works for me.
All right.
Yeah. All right. Good night.
Enjoy your day. Enjoy your night. Okay, bye.